my presentation.
Hi everybody, welcome to our yoga and oils class tonight. Thank you all so much for joining. Very, very fortunate tonight to have Tara do a lovely yoga class for us and to just kind of talk us through a little of the I can't think of the word, maybe the kind of theory of yoga a little, and just introduce us to some oils that are kind of complement the practice. Tara is my upline and my mentor, and I had the privilege of teaching, well, actually, being with Tara as she taught 2 classes back in my early days, and hopefully at some point in the future we'll get the opportunity to do that again.
Yeah.
Tara's been a yoga teacher for 15 years.
Yeah, it's about 15 years now, yeah.
So she has quite a lot of experience. So I'm sure we'll learn a thing or two.
Thank you, Kirsty. Well, it's lovely to be with you guys again. And yeah, so I mean, today the presentation is focused on yoga and meditation, but I really want to kind of open up our idea about what yoga is, because really yoga is really just about being present, right? So you could be doing yoga when you're doing the washing up, or you could be doing yoga when you're walking your dog. It's really about connecting mind and body. So the word yoga actually means to unite, to yoke things together. So we can be in a state of connection when we're walking in nature, or we can be doing yoga, if you like, when you're just in the shower, you know, and you're just very connected with that experience. So even though I'm referring to this word yoga, I encourage you to think of it in a more broader sense of just becoming present and mindful in what you're doing. And so I'm going to speak a bit about that in relation to our work with the plants and with the oils, because it's been proven that when we use essential oils, that we can apply an essential oil to the body, or we can take an essential oil internally and it's going to have some benefits. But when we apply that oil with an intention or with a purpose, when we unite our mind, our intention with what we want that oil to do, why we're using it. I'm applying this to calm my nervous system, or I'm applying this to help my breathing. When there is that conscious application, the benefits are enhanced. And it's quite different to, you know, our relationship with modern medicine, where we might just pop a pill and keep going with our day. You know, oh, I've got menstrual cramps, I'm just going to pop an ibuprofen and I'm just going to keep going. And we don't actually stop and listen to those signals and listen to what the body is trying to tell us. So the work that we do with essential oils is always encouraging us to listen more and to become more connected with what the signs and the signals and the messages that are coming from within. Okay, and yoga is a wonderful meditation in general. You know, these are all practices which help us to calm the mind and help us to listen internally. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to just unmute yourself and ask a question. Okie doke. So I just put this as the first slide really because I wanted us to see how, you know, yoga can be applied to lots of different practices. So the top left corner, we've got a bunch of women singing, you know, Indigenous women who are singing in harmony together, very present in the activity and what they're doing, creating harmony, connecting in with this kind of creative expression. And then the bottom left, we've got some Tibetan singing bowls. So it's kind of sound therapy. In the middle, we've got someone doing, you know, what we now recognize as the kind of physical asana yoga practice. On the top right, we've got someone in nature, which again is another experience of feeling connected, of feeling a deeper sense of peace when you're going into nature. And then the bottom right, we've got a picture of a traditional tea ceremony in Japan, which is also a very kind of ritualistic ceremony or ritual, which is done in silence. And it's done in a very present way where you just pour the tea. I mean, we should be good at it, right? As kind of Scottish people and Brits, we're all big tea drinkers, but I don't think we pay quite as much attention to, you know, making a ceremony out of it. Although, you know, in a way, it has very much become, in a way, you know, there is a ceremonial aspect to our tea drinking, in the sense that it's like we do it for comfort. We do it when someone comes over as a way of connecting, sitting down and checking in with each other. So there are still remnants, there are still remnants of that idea of connection. So I wanted to start this presentation just by talking about listening, about how we can, through these different practices, these mindful practices, we can cultivate and practice the art of listening. Because when the mind is very active and overactive, it's actually very difficult to hear the messages that come from within, and especially messages that are coming from the body. It tends to be inconvenient when there is a pain in the body or the digestive system is playing up. It's always seen as an inconvenience. You know, as women, we'll know in terms of our menstrual cycle, it's been referred to, and there's a lot of language around that gives us the impression that it's inconvenient to have our period. Doesn't fit in with what's required of us in the rhythm of our life. But all of these sensations and signals that are coming from the body, they're all signs, right? They're all messages that are telling us whether something is okay or whether it's not okay. And on deepening our connection with ourselves, we can begin to understand the root of illness. So when we start to deepen our listening, we can see maybe where our digestive problems are coming from. You know, maybe they're associated with our anxiety, or maybe we suddenly realize that they happen every time we eat bread. But because we haven't been listening, we haven't been paying attention, we'll never know, right? So yoga and meditation and the use of essential oils, they encourage us to cultivate our listening, to become our own best healer. Just a quote here: "Man, know thyself and you will know the universe and all the gods." So it's these kinds of phrases and teachings that have been passed down through the ages, through all spiritual and religious traditions. You know, there's always an emphasis on self-inquiry, on looking within in order to know that which is without. And I love this quote about listening as well. "I do not know how to listen if I am too vain, nor do I know how to listen if I already know the answer. Nor do I know how to listen if I have not created silence within me, and nor do I know how to listen if I am not respectful. Neither do I know how to listen if I have previously committed the error of predetermining or assuming that I already know what the other is trying to say. Knowing how to listen is a great art and a great discipline." And I wanted to include this here because very often when we come to a new practice, such as using essential oils, maybe we come with already a kind of predetermined opinion, or we come with certain assumptions about what we think we know or what we think they should do, or maybe, you know, there's been some conditioning in terms of, you know, placebo effect, or that these things don't really work, or, you know, we come with all of this baggage, and that stops us from listening. Actually, we don't come with that kind of open heart and open mind to really engage and receive, and be open to receiving the information, because there's already a kind of predetermined opinion. So knowing how to listen, to listen is a verb, no? It's an action, it's something we choose to do, to listen. And I love how he compares it here to an art and a discipline. So stepping into the realm of kind of plants and plant medicine and remedies and natural solutions. This is from a book by Stephen Howard Booner. And if any of you are interested in kind of going into the sort of more mystical side of, plant medicine and plant remedies, and this guy is a real old, like 70s hippie. He's brilliant. He's written a bunch of books, and he's a real character, but very, very well read, incredibly eloquent. And in his book, I think it's called The Lost Language of Plants, he says that all Aboriginal people accumulated their knowledge about plant remedies directly from the heart of the world and from the plants themselves. And we could say this about all Indigenous people, really, and all our ancestors. They didn't use science back in the day. They didn't use science to tell them whether chamomile was calming or whether nettle plant was good for the digestive system. They just trialed and error. It was all real about trial and error and listening to how the body responded. And here Stephen says they all said they could speak with the plants, and the plants would speak with them. And this was how they revealed their secrets and revealed their medicinal uses. So this is really, it's kind of exposing and reminding us of our intuitive nature and our ability to listen, our ability to use our intuition and our senses and our sensations to tell us what the medicine of the plant is. What is it that I'm experiencing? And I think one of the easiest ways for one of the most comparable ways is when we speak about love. When you fall in love, it's a feeling. You just know it. You can feel something within you, but you can't necessarily, there's not necessarily a science there, right? You can't kind of put that through lots of clinical trials to prove that it's happening. You just know it because of the feelings that you're receiving from inside and the connection that you feel. And so I feel that there's something there that we're all capable of tapping into when working with essential oils, if we can really learn how to cultivate our listening. So we have to develop our connection with the heart. When we are cooking, we are practicing the art of paying attention. When we drive, when we shower, when we take the dog out for a walk, these are all opportunities to practice being present. We can practice the art of mindfulness in each moment until it becomes integrated into our lives, and we just become it. We just become more mindful. So at the beginning, everything's a practice, right? We have to learn how to discipline the mind, because the mind is very disobedient and chaotic. No, it's like a beast, kind of a wild beast that we've let run wild. So there is definitely a practice that needs to be developed where we consciously, try to become more mindful when we're out walking, paying attention to our breath, when we are with a friend, paying attention to listening rather than waiting to speak or waiting to respond, but just listening, or when we're eating our food, paying attention to all the different tastes. So we can do it in small ways and little by little build up that kind of muscle. And so speaking of that, let's move into the yoga oils. And what I'd like to do here is just talk a little bit about these 3 oils, what they do, why they do what they do. And then I'd love to lead you through a sort of 5 to 10 minute meditation if we still have some time at the end. So all the oils have an emotional aspect to them, to their benefits, okay? But doTERRA collaborated with a very well-known yoga teacher, Lena Brower, who's also a leader in doTERRA. You know, she's one of my favorite educators in doTERRA. She speaks so eloquently about the oils, and she partnered with doTERRA to develop this line of oils, this kind of range, specifically to help us in our meditation or yoga or mindful practices. But really, you can use them, anyone can use them at any time of day. You don't just have to reserve them for yoga. But I'll speak a little bit about, you know, what they do and how they could help you in your mindful practices. So Anchor would be the blend that we would use at the beginning of our meditation or Pilates, or even if we're going out for a walk or any kind of mindful practice. That's going to be very helpful in grounding us. So it's going to help calm the mind. It's going to help just steady any kind of anxiety or nervousness, or if we're feeling a bit fragile, right? And it's going to support us by providing some courage, some calm, and some resilience, help us feel anchored, okay? How does it do that? Well, so these are the ingredients. So what you'll notice here is that there's quite a few wood oils in the list. We've got cedarwood, we've got frankincense, sandalwood as well. And these are all, so trees are all very grounding. They're all very, obviously they're rooted into the earth, strong, deep roots. And so energetically, that's what it does to our nervous system. Okay, so the medicine of these oils is definitely very grounding, very rooting. Then we've got cinnamon, which is a bark. So again, it's very earthy, very connected to the earth element. But cinnamon, when you think of cinnamon, I mean, for me, it's very comforting, cinnamon. Cinnamon, I kind of associate it with, Christmas and those sorts of comforting, warming spices, right? Black pepper as well. So both of these oils, black pepper and cinnamon, are going to have that kind of warming effect in the heart space, comforting. And then you've got patchouli, and patchouli is a deep, dark kind of, I would say, almost like molasses. It's kind of got that texture to it as an oil. So again, it's very rich. It's a very rich smell, and comforting, calming, soothing to the body, to the mind. And then you've got lavender, and lavender is, we know this is such a familiar smell and scent for a lot of us, very calming, but very familiar, and so it brings that sense of like familiarity, and that is calming as it is. So there's a very specific alchemy here. There's no coincidence why all these oils are combined together. There's a very specific kind of magic that happens when you combine certain oils. And so this is going to have a grounding effect. And you can use this at any time if you feel nervous, if you have to, for example, give a presentation or speak in front of a group of people, if you have to have a difficult conversation or a confrontation. This oil Anchor is going to help center you, okay, emotionally. The second oil in this collection is Align, and it's called the Centering Blend. And so this would be something, so perhaps you're starting your practice with Anchor, and then Align would happen, maybe 15-20 minutes into the practice, where you've warmed up, you've grounded, you're more aware of your breath. And then you would introduce Align into your practice, into your little routine, because this is going to Align is it's a bit more crisp. So the scent is a bit more kind of fresh and crisp, and it's going to just kind of spark the mind. It's going to be a little bit more like brightening to the senses and strengthen your connection, your alertness. So here it says to help align our body and mind and emotions during the practice. It promotes feelings of self-acceptance, confidence, and ease. So a kind of sense of flow in what you're doing. And why does it do that? So here we've got a combination of flowers and herbs, right? And we've got bergamot at the top, which is the citrus, the predominant citrus. But then you can see you've got coriander, marjoram, peppermint, basil, representing the kind of herbs. And then you've got geranium, rose, and jasmine for the flowers. And so this is going to, like, flowers are very comforting. You know, when you think about the act of giving, or the gesture of giving flowers to someone, everybody loves to receive flowers, right? It's associated with love. It's an act of love, of generosity, of friendship. And so that's what we associate flowers with when we smell them, when we smell roses or geranium. It brings that sense of ease and celebration and warmth and joy. And then you've got the coriander, the marjoram, and the peppermint, and the herbs are very fresh, right? That kind of fresh herb smell. So that's going to kind of brighten up the senses, the peppermint especially, and the bergamot, which is the citrus, is also very uplifting. So this can come, for example, you know, as I mentioned before, 15-20 minutes into your practice. Or if you're using it, you know, just during the day as a perfume. I love to use this as a perfume when I get up in the morning. It's kind of quite a bright smell. And I like this in the morning to kind of wake me up and help me be a bit more alert. And then finally, Arise, the enlightening blend. So this is mainly citruses, right? And citruses really uplift the senses. They promote clarity, focus, and intuition. They promote a sense of lightness and elevation. And I mean, in this case, one of the benefits says that it helps us to reach our goals, not only in our practice, but in our life as well. So again, it's that Arise is something you can use, you know, slightly more towards, if you like, if you're doing yoga or any kind of physical activity. Arise is something you can use before you get to the most complicated part of the practice, or the part that's most challenging, for example, where you need to balance, you know, or kind of really bring your energy up to the next level. That's a nice moment to use it. I've also used it after yoga when I'm kind of coming back round. So maybe I've done my meditation or I've done my shavasana, my relaxation, and then I'll use Arise right after that when I'm coming back into the world and I'm assimilating all the information that my body has just received, or all the teachings, and I'm kind of taking all of that motivation and inspiration with me into the world. And aside from using it in your practice, you would use this, for example, if you're feeling a bit low in energy and you need a bit of a kickstart, or maybe you need some focus. Maybe you're working at your computer all day and you need to help maintain focus, just so you can keep going with that task, or, you know, tick everything off the list and reach your goals, you know, just get everything done. So that's a nice, Arise is a nice blend to accompany us in those moments. And this is what it contains, right? So the majority are citruses or citrus scents. So lemon and grapefruit, obviously. Melissa is not a citrus, but she does smell Melissa is actually in the mint family. And it's like a kind of lemon balm, right? So it's very citrusy. The smell is very crisp and light, and Melissa is known as the oil of light, actually. Really an incredible oil. And then you've got Siberian fir, which is a tree, and then osmanthus, which I believe is a flower. So a really beautiful combination of oils here. And I just wrote a little list here of some other favorites of mine, which some of you may have heard of if you are already using doTERRA essential oils. So Balance is like a real global favorite in our community. Balance is one of the original blends that doTERRA produced. And it's a combination of lots of different trees. It's got a couple of flowers in there, like low-lying flowers, flowers that generally, you know, don't grow very high. So they're very small, short flowers, like daisies, for example, which still have a lot of earth energy because they stay very close to the ground. Elevation is mainly citruses, so that's again for uplifting. Air is a blend that's going to be more like eucalyptus and peppermint and rosemary and cardamom, so very refreshing. And that's wonderful if you specifically, like, let's say you're wanting to start a new physical activity, but you're finding that laziness or lethargy is getting in the way. Air is a really good one to keep you motivated. So it's almost like a natural version of Vicks Vapor Rub. So you would use it on your chest, open up your lungs, you know, you'd be inhaling it to get your respiratory system open and active, and that will help you kind of remove any lethargy or kind of sluggishness before attempting your new physical regime. Serenity, I would recommend serenity and peace. I would recommend for meditative practices. If you like to journal, they can really help you tune in. And then Aroma Touch is has some similarity to air. It's going to be uplifting, kind of minty, but it's also wonderful for using after you've done exercise as a kind of massage rub, because it's very soothing to the muscle tissue. So you can use that while you're exercising. Let's say you're doing a class online in your living room, you know, use it in the diffuser, and then also use it after you've showered and turn it into like a massage rub and put that on the areas of the body that you know might experience some aches and pains. Okay. Are there any questions at this point? You can just unmute yourself if there are, because I can't see you guys, so it doesn't look like it, no. Oh yeah, is that someone?
So just to check for the oils, like Anchor, for instance, so you say you do that like at the start, would you just take it like under your tongue, or would you, like, how would you like, or would you massage it into yourself, or like how would you be taking it?
Yeah, really great point, and such a basic thing that I missed out is the actual application. So all of these oils that I've mentioned tonight, including these favorites, they are all for topical and aromatic use. Okay, so none of them are for internal use. All of them are for topical use and aromatic. So topical meaning on the skin. And for example, if we go back to Anchor, I would be applying Anchor, for example, to the soles of the feet. So really to that part that is anchored into the earth. And then also, so to the two extremes, you know, so the head and the feet. So maybe on the front of on your forehead and on your temples is a really nice way to use Anchor to steady and calm the mind. Or again, and all of these are diluted already with coconut oil, so you can apply them straight to the skin. And then Align, I'd probably be applying this more to the center of the heart or on the chest. So somewhere that's, because it's kind of to do more with coming into your center, right? So applying it, you can also apply it along the sternum bone, along that central front line, you know, that frontal kind of part of the spinal column, the front of the chest, all the way down the sternum bone. That's a nice way to apply a line. I mean, really, there's no rules, you know, you can put it on your wrist points, you can put it behind your ears, anywhere that you just, you know, listen to your intuition. And then arise. I mean, again, you can apply this to your body. You can also be inhaling it from the palms. The only thing to remember with arise is that it does contain citruses, and citruses are photosensitive. So if you do put it on your skin, you just want to make sure that you don't go out and sunbathe later in the day, because the citruses may interact with the sun. And you know, we always advise that if you're putting citruses on your skin, to leave about 12 hours before going out into the sun. So if you do put it on your skin, just put it on areas that are not going to be exposed to the sun that day. Kirsty, did you want to add anything? Is there anything I missed out at this point?
No, nothing from me. I've just been sitting, taking it all in, absorbing everything.
Okay, good. All right. Well, I just thought I'd finish by giving you a couple of my favorite ways of anointing the body with these oils. And then I thought we could do a little 5-10 minute meditation. So if you do have oils at home or close by, I encourage you to go and grab a couple of them right now. It doesn't matter which ones. Anything that you have to hand, anything that you feel that you'd like right now. And you're just going to put that wherever you want, okay? Just so you can put it on your wrist points or on your chest, or just pop it wherever you feel to. Give it a bit of a rub in there. And we'll just let the oil do its work while I walk you through these different little anointing suggestions. So for yoga, for example, you could consider using air, align, and arise. You could use air in your palms and breathe deep before the practice. So a couple of drops in your palms, 2 drops of the align blend on your heart space and behind the ears, and then 5 drops of arise in the diffuser. And that could be a really nice way just to accompany your yoga practice or your stretching at home. For meditation, 1 drop of frankincense on the third eye, 2 drops of balance on the soles of your feet, and 2 drops of anchor on your heart space. And these are all just suggestions. No? These are things that I love to do, but really it's up to you, you know, and it's really, again, if we go back to the beginning of the class, it's about cultivating your listening and just listening to what the body needs in the moment. So these are just suggestions here. And what I can do after this is send Kirsty a copy of this presentation in case any of you want the, you know, the actual slides to go over again. So now that we've applied our oil, we'll just take a few moments if you'd like to accompany me in this meditation. And we can just sit wherever we are, just find a comfortable position where your spine can be straight. And you can close your eyes. And let's take a few moments to connect with the oil that we've just applied to our body. So if you can smell it, if there's some residue in your hands, you can bring your hands up to your face and just draw in the aroma. And if you don't have an oil or you haven't applied an oil in this moment, just pay attention to your breath wherever you are. Deeply inhaling and deeply exhaling. see if you can relax the tension around your eyes and your eye sockets. And see if you can relax the tension in your jaw, your tongue. And as you draw the breath in, I invite you to imagine the breath as if it were medicine, a soothing balm for the soul. And those of you that have applied an essential oil to your body, you'll be inhaling the scent and the fragrance of that oil as you breathe in, which will also be like a soothing balm, a soothing elixir. Really drawing all of that medicine in, the medicine of the breath, the medicine of the plants. And listening. Listening to where you're still holding on to tension. Taking a moment just to accept and assimilate everything that's happened today. The highs and the lows, the busy moments, the slow moments. To create space inside of you where all of that can just be. Deeply inhaling and deeply exhaling, allow the breath to create more space within you. More opening, flushing away anything that doesn't serve you. And taking a few moments here just to find that solace, that peace within yourself. That field of peace that lies beneath all the busyness, that lies beneath all the opinions, all the judgments, all the thoughts. Can you rest there for a few moments? And deeply inhaling and deeply exhaling. Allow your breath to gradually bring you back through the layers of the body, back to the external world. As your senses become activated again, maybe you slowly blink, open the eyes. And you're seeing perhaps there's a new quality in your vision, or a new quality in your presence, a new quality in your breath. Maybe you've been able to quieten just a bit more. Please feel free to reapply any oils that you have to hand if you so wish. So it's really nice as a way of integrating practices to apply an oil immediately afterwards as well. It's like I'm kind of sealing in that energy after you've done your yoga or your meditation. Use an oil as a way of transitioning back. You kind of seal in the work you've just done, and then you transition back. So I hope that that was helpful, just a little glimpse. And I will just let you know that this month there's 10% off all the yoga oils. Yay! So those of you, I know that there are a few of you here that have an account with doTERRA. You're already using your oils, purchasing them regularly. So you've got until the end of the month to get a 10% discount. And all you have to do is go into your own wholesale account and choose whichever one you want and add it to your cart, and then it will immediately show you the discount. You can also buy all three of these as a kit, and there's another discount applied if you buy them as a kit. And if you don't have an account yet and you'd like to know more, then I encourage you to speak to Kirsty. And on our team as well, we really try and help you make this first step. So we have a few free gifts as well this month. There's a free bottle of Melaleuca, which is tea tree, or a free bottle of lavender. And both of these bottles come as a roll-on, a 10 milliliter roll-on. So they're already diluted and they are safe to use on children. So these are coming if there's a minimum spend of 50 PV. Is that correct, Kirsty? Have I got that information? That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
And then there's a free bottle of Past Tense. Past Tense is a doTERRA blend, which is for headaches and head tension. And I also really like to use it for like neck tension, anything around the neck and the shoulders, the forehead. So that's also a 10 milliliter roller bottle, and that you get that on top of the tea tree and the lavender if you order over 100 PV as a new customer. Okay, you have to be a new customer for that one, I'm afraid. And we really encourage you to join our weekly education sessions. Kirsty, I believe, Kirsty, you do every 2 weeks, right? Fortnightly, you're here on a Wednesday, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
So the next class that you're doing is on the 3rd of June, about hormones. But we also have our other team members, our other educators who teach Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. your time. When else?
There's Emma does a class on a Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
11 a.m.
Yeah. So we're just
time.
we're just getting the is scheduled together for June. So there'll be a poster very soon that Kirsty can share with you about all the different, you know, weekly classes. But we really encourage you to come along and learn. You know, every educator has a you know, something new to bring. We've got people who are kind of more experts on hormones, and others who are doulas, you know, who are talking about childbirth and using oils with children, and other people who love, you know, teaching about green cleaning. And so you know, all of them are free, and you're all so welcome to come along and learn more.
Thank you. Really enjoyed that. It was
Pleasure.
very nice and relaxing.
Aww. Are there any questions or any comments, or you can unmute yourselves now?
I don't have any questions.
Half asleep, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like I've got a wee kind of glow, you know, you get that wee cozy glow.
Yeah, it's very powerful when you can apply an oil and really kind of breathe it in, take that time to ingest all the energy that's coming in. It's a different experience. And then at the end, kind of, you know, seal it off again. I really encourage that practice for sure. And you can do it with any of the oils. It doesn't have to be a yoga specific oil. All of them are, you know, have multiple benefits. So I encourage you to develop like that side of your practice. So when you apply an oil, you do it consciously, you do it with intention. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you all. Shona, Derek, Louise, Denise.
Thank you all for joining.
Yeah.
Hope you all enjoyed.
Yes, thanks.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you, it was great.
Great.
Good.
All right. Well, have a wonderful evening.